Welcome to Mo's Market Pulse. I'm your host, Sara Mokaram, founder of Mo Digital Solutions, where we help businesses hit their revenue goals and thrive. On this podcast, we talk with industry leaders about their business, market trends, growth strategies, and what's ahead. So, Ben, really great to have you on today. I'd like to just start with some information about you and your journey and how Iris came to life. You've had a unique path leading up to Iris. What was the moment or series of moments that made you realize this is the problem I want to solve?
Great question. One, thanks for having me. Great to be here. Ben, founder and CEO of Iris. Find us at heyiris.ai. The moment that I decided I wanted to quit my job and start this company was one day when a sales rep, my ed tech company, had called me up and said, "Hey, I know you're not supposed to do the RFPs and proposals anymore, but you're the best at doing them, and I could really use your help at this one." And I was so burned out and exhausted, I was ready to quit. And that was at that point, I don't know, the 2000th proposal RFP security questionnaire of the like that I had written manually over the 10 years that I was leading an ed tech company. And that moment was just the straw that broke the camel's back, as they say, from feeling the pain. Now, that moment serendipitously coincided with my first ChatGPT moment as well, where I think for a lot of people, we all had the first time that we used an AI tool and the light bulb went off that this is going to change everything. And so I had, again, serendipitously been using ChatGPT around the same time that this request came from a sales rep. And so those two things, both the pain from being asked to do this again and the opportunity I saw from starting to use this new technology, it just clicked that this is what I should spend my time doing.
Great. And prior to starting Iris, with your background in ed tech or other ventures, how would you say those experiences shaped your thinking about operational pain points and automation?
It's something I think a lot about because, one, in this business, we're eating our own dog food. We're building a product that we use. We're solving a problem I felt. And that actually enables us to be efficient in a way I never really thought about, because you don't necessarily need as big of a team getting market insights or thinking about how to shape the product, because you have so much conviction as a founder in exactly what you're solving. Now, the other thing is we want to prove to the world what it means to be an AI first company in the way that we operate, in the way that we think, in the way that we deliver features to our product. So, particularly from my experience scaling an ed tech company, I took quite a bit of thought into how to scale up our customer success organization differently. Traditional companies scaled that linearly, one customer success headcount for every X number of clients. And I think AI in particular provides an opportunity in that organization to scale differently. We've seen tremendous gains on an engineering team, tremendous gains on our marketing team. I'm having everyone buy AI tools for their job before we look at headcount, not because I don't want more people, but because I want people coming in that are X employees from where they were without these power tools.
And so it sounds from what you've shared so far, Iris came really from a real world need in solving RFP headaches. So now I want to zoom out a bit and talk about the broader market that you're operating in. In your view, how has B2B sales and the procurement process changed over the last 3 to 5 years? And where do you see it heading?
Yeah. So 5+ years ago, RFPs were only prevalent in government sales and maybe like Fortune 100. And as a result of really two big market dynamics, one was GDPR and the advent of privacy and security laws. And the other was the massive increase in traditional businesses moving digital online. Both of those compounded have led to a market where today 2/3 of enterprise sales across software, hardware, professional services, marketing and advertising, transportation management, food and beverage, healthcare, you name it, rely on RFPs, security reviews, highly dense documentation in order to win a deal. So from a really tactical standpoint, the procurement process has changed quite a bit because buyers' expectations are heightened and have shifted, and because of actual compliance guarantees. GDPR is not even a US law, yet you can still track GDPR being launched in Europe to a massive shift in the security landscape in the US. So that global event, macro event, did really shift the procuring procurement landscape. Every sales cycle has gotten more complex. Every sales cycle has gotten more difficult. And every buyer has much higher expectations now, as they should, to ensure that the solution they're investing in really meets their needs. People aren't buying software after a 3 martini lunch and a handshake with the vendor they like the best anymore. They want software that's tried and proven and is really committed to reaching their goals. So that's been a really interesting shift from a macro standpoint. There are almost $10 trillion transacted in the private sector via RFPs every year. 5 million companies that do this manually today. As far as like internally, and the way our sales have shifted more in the past 2 years, particularly post AI boom, everyone is skeptical. Most people are excited, but skeptical, as they should be. Change management is the hardest part. It's getting people to adopt not just a new way of thinking about doing software, but a new way of doing a business process and integrating it with their team. And it's interesting because it's actually, I think, led to a much more human-centric sales cycle in a lot of places, where now you are having humans much more involved in many parts of the sales cycle to get people bought in that it's worth making their change with an AI solution.
Yeah, that's a good perspective on that. So there are a few players that are trying to automate or support parts of the RFP process. What do you think most of them are getting wrong, or how does Iris tackle it differently?
Yeah. So one, I think there main types of tools we come up against. One are tools that are repositories of all of your previous RFPs, and every net new RFP response is based on your last RFP. Now, what I know from my experience is that makes it perpetually out of date because your business changes all the time. You ship new features, you have new client stories, you update your marketing collateral. So that's one category, are tools relying on your past RFPs. The other category are people trying AI. And some of those are people using like a ChatGPT to solve it, or using some sort of bot prompt to solve it, etc. And what we've been able to do is take all of the newest AI technology, but apply it with all of the depth of the workflows and functionalities teams need. So the first thing is, compared to the tools that just rely on your past responses, Iris is contextualizing your most up-to-date, what we call primary source information. Your latest release notes, your latest product docs, your latest marketing collateral, your latest case studies. And that's what we're using as our knowledge base to generate the highest quality possible content. Then compared to an off-the-shelf chatbot, with Iris, you're getting a full end-to-end workflow where you're collaborating with your team, making your edits, designing your final deliverable, tracking this integrated with your CRM and how this is impacting revenue. And as a result, you have a really nice flywheel where the more you use Iris, the smarter it becomes, the better off every future forward proposal and RFP is. And this is what we look at in the market is, it's not just generating the content, it's the whole workflow, from determining whether or not if you're qualified for the RFP, all the way through finding net new RFPs that you are qualified for, and the response in the middle. And it requires relying on your most up-to-date, latest business information, not just your past response.
How do your customers talk about their pain when they come to you? What do they actually say they're looking for? Or what's the emotional or business cost of getting, this process wrong and their concerns and whatnot when they actually come to Iris?
It's emotionally volatile and fatiguing. So when we talk to a lot of customers and prospects, they have dread even talking about the topic, which is interesting. And it's I don't want to say it's funny, but it's like, hey, yes, you have a tool that can save me 50 hours per RFP response, but I hate the RFP process so much that I don't even want to think about it or talk about it, even though I could make it better. And what we hear time and time again is someone gets a bid Friday at 5 p.m., they send it to their teammate, they're so emotionally overwhelmed in even seeing that email, they'll procrastinate opening it and looking at the attachment. Now, I've lived all of those shoes and all of those roles. I've been the sales rep who wants to respond to the RFP. I've been the recipient of the email at the end of day Friday who then has to change my whole weekend plan. I've been the one to win. I've been the one to lose. I've been the one to implement the client. And because of that perspective, we've been able to put quite a bit of empathy in our product to speak to the particular emotional journey a client's going through, even in things like when they first get that RFP, instead of spending 10 hours reading through it just to see whether or not they're qualified, they can forward it to Iris. Our system can then generate a report on your qualifications and remove this whole emotional bottleneck. Now, from a business standpoint, most of our customers have close to 100% of their deal cycles requiring an RFP or secure something that Iris generates. And so they all recognize that they need to do it. And the question is just, do I do it really high quality, putting my best foot forward, or do I do it with a belabored process, relied on my last responses and so on? Now, the business impact of doing it right is tremendous. It is a reduction in hours spent per sales rep from 60 hours to 1 to 2 hours per project, a reduction in the number of individuals that need to be involved in getting a response from 10 to 15 to 2 to 3. That leads to an increase and a reduction in turnaround time of these requests to your prospects. That leads to an increase in total pipeline volume that an individual rep can hold, how many prospects they can actively work with at a given time. It leads to an increase in win rate and actually seeing you win more deals because you're putting such higher quality content forward to your prospect. And as a result, we have customers that have like literally entered new markets, new segments, new territories, new geographies without bringing on additional headcount because of the role Iris plays in making this process happier. The best feedback we get is from a CFO saying, we close more business, more of my reps hit quota, and people are enjoying working with each other more in a way that they didn't beforehand. And I don't know what more you could ask for from a product.
That's amazing. It's great that your product can offer both efficiency in the business process, but also that emotional feeling, which plays so much into employees' happiness and the success of the business. So I want to shift gears a bit to how you're thinking about growing and scaling Iris. How are you currently finding and converting your ideal customers? Are there any go-to-market channels that have worked better than expected, or on the flip side, failed you completely?
You know, I subscribe to the notion of there's no silver bullet. You need a mix of everything. So I'd say we're doing all of the things. We're doing content marketing, we're going to events, we have referral programs with our existing customers to refer other colleagues into it. You know, we just closed our seed round earlier this year. That funding is helping us get in front of the more of the market faster from a go-to-market standpoint, be in more conferences, be on more podcasts, etc. We're also trying some of the new marketplaces like Demo and Sage Tap that are more about where B2B buyers can find vendors without going through someone on the other end of the team. And we released our first self-service free product that's usage-based last week also, or last month rather. And it lets you drop in an RFP. We automatically create a dashboard with all the timelines, requirements, context, and the response has been just overwhelmingly positive in adoption and people buying access. Anyone can go sign up, pro.heyiris.ai, create an account, shred 3 RFPs for free. So we're trying that as a go-to-market channel now too, like product-led growth and free trial. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty much the mix. It's like we're trying to do a little bit of everything, see what works, measure and improve. We haven't really invested in like paid advertising yet, just because of the stage we're at as a company. But I imagine that's something that we'll start to do at some point in the next 6 to 12 months.
And do you find that, content or partnerships play a big role in building credibility in such a technical and trust-based space?
Absolutely. I mean, I was just speaking with a leader from another software company yesterday saying, look, there is so many options right now for vendors in every category of the GTM stack. My goal is to partner up and build alliances with what I believe are the most forward-thinking, best-in-class tools in adjacent areas that don't overlap with us, and be able to build alliances and partnerships with other like-minded companies. It's important to me that they think about AI the way we think about it, they think about the market the way we think about it, and then I think we can do a lot of really good work together. Of course, it's important to build good partnerships and alliances with your customers. We have a fantastic product advisory council that's got executives at some of the largest unicorns in the country, working directly with our team to make our product better. And that's always, always helpful, net positive to our roadmap as well.
For sure. And so no startup journey is smooth, especially in emerging markets. So I want to hear a little bit about what's been hard for you along the way. What's been the most frustrating part of running Iris right now? What's keeping you personally from moving faster or in your day-to-day grind or even overall just your strategy or work right now? What's the most frustrating part of it?
I wish there were more hours in the day and the world would spin a little faster. It's been an absolute thrill to be building with new technology in a continuously evolving landscape. And the result is every single day, there are major opportunities to dramatically change the impact of our product in different key areas that are on our roadmap, which makes it, again, literally thrilling to have that pace of change. I'm constantly reminding myself that I need to exercise more patience on market change. Like, just because it's the coolest tech to me and it's so obvious that people should do it this way, doesn't mean that everyone else is as excited about dramatic change in a critical business process as I am. And change management's hard because it requires a lot of patience. It requires a lot of perseverance. In my last company, we were selling mobile acceptance letters. And I remember pitching to a college and them saying they were going to prioritize sending personalized high socks to accepted students instead of digital acceptance letters because I thought it was a higher touch, better way to work with students, and it was crushing to me. But then a year later, they came back and were like, yeah, we should probably move more digital. Change is hard. It takes a ton of patience. It takes a ton of resiliency. It takes a ton of perseverance. But I have the conviction that we're doing it the right way. And as a result, I'm sticking with it.
Nice. And are there any moments where you felt though the product wasn't landing or you were worried you were solving the wrong problem or had to pivot or change your plan?
Not so much product, but from a who we're working with standpoint, we have some customers that are security leaders and security teams by Iris. And we have some customers, the majority were sales teams by Iris as sales leaders. And it's kind of a different motion. Like it's the same product, but it's a different way of working with the client, a different expectation, but they all lead to the same thing. So like in our security led sales cycles, it is ultimately the sales team that's the end user. So we took a shift in not prioritizing, but focusing more on like sales conferences and the GTM stack and trying to get in front of more sales leaders. From a product standpoint, I think because we set out to build a product solving a problem that like I had lived and felt, I don't mean to say we got it all right, but we had a really high degree of conviction and clarity from the get-go on specifically what problems we were solving. And that has been helpful to say the least.
And how are you managing burnout, both personally and for your team, when you're balancing product development, growth, customer expectations, the pressure to raise or scale, all of the above for a startup?
I'm managing in the hiring process by being incredibly transparent about the sacrifices people have to make a really early stage company successful. Some people try to position differently, and I'm just upfront with it. You're joining a really quickly growing company with really high expectations to deliver because we all want to be really successful. It doesn't necessarily mean my expectation is if I call you any hour of any day to shoot the shit, you're going to pick up. I'm very judicious of people's time and prioritization of people's time. But there are some times in weeks when people are working really late. There's some times in weeks when people aren't working as late. And that kind of ambiguity is just inherent to a company of our stage and size. And at this stage of 15 employees, we're just only looking for people that want to make a mark on the world by building a company from scratch and understanding of what that requires.
And so with a growing company, I know you must have big goals. So I want to shift here and talk about what that looks like for you. Say we talk again in a year. What would success look like for Iris?
We want to be in 250 companies, teams using us, be four times bigger than we are now. I want to see about 10,000 RFPs happening on our platform every week or month. Those are the big ones. And I'd love to see 10 times as many case studies. I mean, for us, client results rule everything. We have right now 10 to 20% of our customers that we have like active case studies measuring with, which I think is a pretty nice percentage. And so I'd like to maintain that. And as we grow to 100, 200, 300 clients, have corresponding case studies.
Yeah. And what would you say is the number one thing that could stop you from achieving what you want to accomplish in the next year? And how are you preparing, or what are you doing to reduce the risk of having those things stop you?
You know, someone put to me earlier today, when you grow from 7 employees to or 5 to 15 in 6 months, that's where you're either going to make the most out of the bigger team and really prove out that you can achieve escape velocity and crush it, or get crushed under your own weight of trying to build up that culture and that scale. So I think it's ours to lose. The market demand is there. The product satisfaction is there. I have an incredible team of people that like really, really, really are working hard to make this work. And I think for me, that means the more I can do to provide clarity to everyone on a day-to-day basis on what to work on, the more likely we are to succeed. And I really do believe that it's our opportunity to lose.
Great. And what advice would you give to other founders building in a space like yours?
Well, if they're building in a space like mine, I would tell them to give up because they're not going to win. If there are other founders building in other spaces, I mean, look, there's no doubt that this is the single best opportunity to be building a company in my lifetime, and certainly in the past few decades. From a technology standpoint, it's overwhelmingly exciting how transformative the underlying tech that's being brought to market at such a rapid pace is. It's overwhelmingly exciting how much money is going into the foundational technology that makes solutions like mine so much better, and how much disruption people want. Like, lots of other tech advances didn't come with people saying like, please show me a better way to do this. It took a lot more change management. So I encourage everyone I meet to start a company and do it now, because it's the best time it's been in a while to do it, and it might be the single best time for the next few decades to do it too.
And so, if anyone wants to learn more about Iris or connect with you, where's the best place?
Reach out to me on LinkedIn, email me, ben@heyiris.ai, visit us at heyiris.ai. If you reach out, I'd love to give you a demo of the software, show you how customers are getting such good results with it, and hear how you're using AI.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to Mo's Market Pulse. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, leave us a comment, and join us again to hear more insights from leaders coming up on future episodes. Thank you again, Ben, for joining us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Sarah, and great to meet the audience.